This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen My Policeman, a new British romantic drama from Michael Grandage that looks at two men, one woman, and the love that binds them together across several decades. It begins with Marion and Tom, a married couple who take in an old friend, Patrick, after he suffers a stroke. Through flashbacks, we see that the three were very close in their younger days. But while Marion was happily in love with Tom, he was having a love affair with Patrick, despite both the laws of the time banning homosexuality and his own position as a policeman. In the present, Tom does what he can to avoid Patrick, frustrating both him and Marion, but she is hopeful that time and changes within the world will allow room for healing and forgiveness. There's actually a pretty interesting structure and revealing of these story details, weaving between the past and present in a way which leads the story in one direction before introducing a new detail that puts everything beforehand in a new context. In this movie, it almost feels like a third act twist, especially with how quickly this new information is introduced, as if it were a bigger revelation. It was almost like the movie was about to end, but then it kept going, which also had a bit of an effect in disrupting the established tone. It did eventually settle back in, and overall, the back and forth storytelling is able to keep up this sort of suspense in two different ways, relaying the tragedy of the past and its reconciliation in the present. There are even a few moments where the two visually cross over, but not so much that it adds to the story significantly. The writing in general develops everything pretty well, though its greater focus on the main characters and their relationship does take away from minor roles and any developments that might have been presented for them. There also isn't too much subtlety in the ongoing events, with everything that occurs generally being presented in a straightforward, somewhat expository manner. As for the acting, I figure most eyes will be on Harry Styles, who portrays the younger Tom. He does a good job for the most part, with a few stilted lines here and there, and a general issue with delivering loud or frustrated anger. But otherwise he is clearly able to hold down the role. Everybody else plays their part too, but overall it's less a movie about these performances and more about the general drama going on. The technical details of the film are pretty standard, though it does try to give off a grand sense of scale in several scenes, especially in the past, which highlights a well-populated public life, emphasizing the privacy of Tom and Patrick's romance in a way. It's something that is contrasted by the quieter, emptier home life of the present, which in its own way is a sort of self-imposed privacy. Cinematography in general does a good job of framing characters, but it doesn't do much in the way of visual storytelling. Editing also plays out well, especially when crossing between the past and present, or when it recontextualizes established events in a new light. The film's musical choices are also pretty fun, though it's mostly just to remind people that the scenes set in the 1950s are, well, set in the 50s. Overall, these details aren't all too impressive, mostly just setting the mood or tone of a scene while the actors do the actual storytelling. Still, even if it's a bit of an unsubtle story more focused on its characters and the greater romantic drama, it's that element that makes the movie enjoyable. My Policeman, Michael Grandage, 2022. 3.5 stars. I'd say it's worth seeing. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Yeah, there really isn't too much else to the movie besides the actual story. On that subject, there isn't even much about being a policeman in the movie. I mean, they have a reason for the title to be what it is, but it could have been any occupation, I'd say.